what you just did, what it looked like to me would be good for your relationship. It looked like you said, Steve told me he'd give me $5. I didn't see the thumb at all.
Got me out of algebra.
Money's going to be a little bit longer. You can work on
Marty took it, in fact, she may have took that card books, and I remember sitting there because that circular thing in the middle of Cleveland Park right off of Main Street. I remember sitting up there in the middle, and she said, we're going to study this for so long, and then we're going to go to Dairy Queen and get an ice cream cone. Well, I couldn't remember when we're studying, I could have there, ice cream cone. Somebody's going to spend time with me and give me an ice cream cone.
Oh, right. Remember that one? So I guess it's my turn.
Yes.
Well, I have to tell a couple of things. First of all, when I was in the 7th grade, so I would have been about 13 years old, I think that might have been the year in our family life when we were the most poor. And I had one pair of pants and I had one shirt, and that's all I had. And the pair of pants I had developed a hole in them from being worn out in the knee. But that was the only pair of pants I had. I had a suit to go wear to church, but I had one pair of pants to wear to school. And I wore that pair of pants, you know, you'd wear them 5 days and then they'd get washed over the weekend and you'd wear them next week too. You know, you'd wash clothes every day when you wore like you do nowadays. But they got worse and worse. And Marcy was working at the Laws babysitting, and she would go down there and sleep every night, and she made about $15 a week or something like that. And she realized I needed pants, and Mom and Daddy didn't have any money to buy any pants, and I didn't have any money. And they were really bad. It seemed like I was going to Greenville Junior High School, it seemed like she was too. You remember that? She won't forget it now. I mean, I remember that so clearly. $2.99. Pair of pants.
We used to say Marcy's the only one we knew could get paid for sleeping. She'd go down there and have to go to sleep.
But I mean, when you're being embarrassed on every day because you're so poor and you're dressing so badly, and it wasn't alone, it was a gift.
So you guys went together after school from Greenwood Junior High?
For a period of time, I think she had a better cash flow than anyone else in the family.
She was real cheap.
Well, I mean, but still does. And then there was another time in my life, about a year later, I mean, I was always in trouble, it seemed like. I was riding home from Greenwood Junior High School, and I played the trumpet. And I had taken a little baby pistol with me to school to show it off to some guys. And on the way home, on the bus, I showed it to Tommy Fuller. And Tommy Fuller turns around, leans out the bus, and shoots his little gas BB pistol, you know. And anyway, a policeman saw him do it. So he follows the bus, comes in, and of course, I didn't tell anybody then that Tommy Fuller did. They confiscated the gun and took my name, and I had to go to court. Well, in court, I told what happened. That was the fact, no, I did not shoot the gun. Somebody else shot the gun, but the judge didn't believe me, and he fined me, I think, $35. 25. Yeah, I remember 35. That's what I paid you for the desk later on.
That's what she charged you. It was $35 back.
$25. No, I didn't have $25. But you know, it was the thing that happened. You know, Daddy, you know, no big deal, but Daddy didn't believe me either. Because I remember when we were leaving the courthouse, Daddy said the judge wouldn't have fined you so much if you would have been telling the truth. I was telling the truth. And I was telling the truth. But we got home, and whenever we went by McCullough Oil Company, we all sat in the
Took a
boat.
picture of the boat. Yeah, we've got the picture somewhere in these scrapbooks.
Yeah,
Yep.
we sat in that
Yep,
boat that
that
same
day.
day on the way
I
home.
remember that.
And we got home, and I did not have the money, and I didn't know how I was going to pay it. And Bonnie walked up.
But I asked you to do something for me. I told you to paint my room.
That's funny, all right.
Yeah, he painted my room. He sure did.
I got some ring sneakers painted too.
You better get in line.
I bet the price of painting's gone up.
And then there was another thing I was touched and still remember it. And let me think about what kind of my life that was. I think it was when I was a senior in high school. I think it was. But anyway, I got interested in some intellectual things, and I saw an ad in a magazine about these books. And you send in a little card, to inquire about buying these books. And I was working at Sears and Roebuck, and I came home one night at 9 o'clock. I didn't know the man was going to be there, but anyway, a salesman was there that sold these books. These are called the Great Books. You know about books? The Great Books. And the salesman was there. I mean, he didn't have an appointment or anything. But anyway, I came up from Sears that night, and we sat down at the old house. And he explained about the books, and then it came down to how much they cost. And I said, oh, I had no idea. You're talking about how much it costs to buy a car. And, and Daddy said, well, wait just a minute. And he said, I think I can do that. And he bought those books for me.
Daddy brought the books for you?
He sure did.
I remember those books
They
being
were,
around for
they
sure.
were in the fire too, weren't they?
They replaced them too.
No, they weren't. The books were in the fire, and the great books were not damaged in the fire. The set of great books, I still have them. The gateway to the great books, which is books that didn't quite make it to be great. They were almost great.
Semi-great books.
They got damaged. And they replaced them. But I still have them, and Daddy paid for like 5 years, I think $11 a month. And probably paid 50% interest on it. But, it was just something I remember. And still have. Right.
My total summary of our family's financial situation when we were kids is that I always felt poor about the way we dressed and stuff, but when I would go through our house and look at our books and our records, I feel so rich. I feel like we had more books than anybody. And that made me feel rich.
I just sold a couple books and bought me.
Yeah, but I love all those books. I thought that was wonderful. I just thought it was great that we had all those.
I stole your panties to go to camp because I didn't have any. I had to watch fishing for a week. I didn't care. I was willing to face the consequences. I had to have a
By the way, since she brought that up, we've got a file cabinet with, there must be at least 75 or 100 records in there. And if any of you have a record
I got more
player,
than that in
you'd
my
like,
closet. If you want to
you'd like to have some of those records, those are some of the records that I made tapes from for your mother's daycare, so she could run use for the, but they're good records and a good music. So if any of you'd like to have any of them, just this past week, because I've been going through your mother's things and trying to get them separated and organized, and I just don't know what to do with those records. So if any of you'd like to have any of them,
Maybe antique value by now.
They may be.
Several of them. I've gone through them though several times, and I've got about that many stacked up out in my house. And you really can't hardly, I mean, we even have a turntable, but if there's really any value to those records, you almost don't want to play them.
Well,
Because
no, if you did anything, you'd make a copy of them on cassette. and
That's
they'd
exactly right,
probably have
yeah.
cassette copies of most of them, too.
yeah, yeah.
I think that.
Remember the time in Mama's life when she was taking the records that she had that she didn't want anymore? She melted them and made those little flower pots.
Yeah, she was very creative.
Oh, we had more of those black flower pots, and they had these little curls, the way they went up around their little jars or whatever it was.
How did she heat them, Bonnie?
On the stove, on the stove.
Oh,
You put
yeah.
that cast iron skillet, she'd heat that and lay the records in. As soon as they get soft, she'd pick them up and stick her hand right up there and just
shaking.
Oh,
Yeah.
See, I didn't know how she did it, I just knew they were all
Well,
over.
I remember standing there watching her, she, that black skillet she had.
Yeah.
She put that thing on there and set the record right on top of it, and as soon as it would start dripping down, she'd pick that thing up and stick her hand up
I
in there and
did
just
not know how she did it.
make it look like lampshade.
How many of y'all
Okay.
remember that record that used to be played in our house? I gotta ask this, I'm curious to see if everybody remembers this record. Of the man talking to his son, and his son had done something wrong, and he tells his son that it was
To
his
give him a
fault.
spanking.
To give him-
Yeah,
Everybody remember
No, Daddy, no! Yes, yes, you will! No, yes! Whack, whack, whack! No, Daddy, no!
Let me have plan to come in the house and let me just wreck it.
That's called reverse psychology.
Wow.
We all remember it.
Well, I'm glad my parents did
You know,
that.
here,
I got another
I purposely.
No, what the deal was today?
Don't tell me ever did that.
He didn't stand around.
That information either.
I said, give me that phone.
I was kidding.
Like I heard James Dodson say when he was in about sixth grade, his mother said he got a bad department. She just knew and said, I'm gonna tell you, if I have a part in school, I don't want to school you. I'm gonna teach how to use your desk. And I thought, great, that was back to sixth grade. So I went to school with David. And I took beside him, and I ate lunch with him and everything all day long. Followed him everywhere he went. But then the day he said, "Well, Preacher, school is not having my mom."
It worked.
Okay, then it's time.
Did you take notes on that class?
That'll be a long time ago later. All right, we'll go.
Well, I'm very much like everybody else. I can just about think of one incident for everybody in the room, and then we'd be here definitely all night. But the thing that came to my mind, the very first thing was one day I went over to Grandma's house, and Marcy was there. And this, I believe it was this year. And Marcy had been to a garage sale, and she had found a little magnet. Remember the magnet, Marcy? And she gave me that magnet, and it was it said special sister on it. And that made me feel very good. And I was really, really pleased and proud of that. So, well, you were special.
Yes, you are there.
That marks a big hand.
When you were talking about the spanking, I had to think of the time experience that your mother had with Ted. Ted for several days was.
Uh-oh, it's not your turn.
You want to tell about I remember your mother brought this up. It come to her mind, and she'd bring it up a number of times. But he just wasn't. Several days a week or so, he was just misbehaving, and finally she took him down behind the big house, down behind the wall, and she said, I need to pray for you, and when are you going to straighten up? And she talked to him a little bit, and then he said, Mama, you better spank me.
The talks were always worse than the spanking.
Okay,
Mama,
that's
that's
turn.
for sure.
I know what get times of possession, I couldn't believe it was wrestling with Teddy in the floor. Over there to the little apartment. He did that. Oh, what?
Got me down on the floor and set ceiling with that big old board there. You stay here till your dad gets home.
Yeah, I know John said, I can't believe the way your mom is wrestling. What is that all about? So?
Really, I got more, give me the board if that didn't work. She said, Daddy will be
David,
home.
when he got to a certain.
Boy, I tell you what, that's the worst news we heard when she turned the punishment over to
I
him.
said, boy, you want to fight? He kind of laughed. He says, it's about 14. He says, well, if we did, I think I could beat him. But then I'd have to deal with Daddy. Okay, Melvin's turn.
Well, I think that with my relationship with
family has been sort of strained because of where we live and so forth. And I don't guess I've had a close relationship with any of them for the last 7 years. But I appreciate one thing about Ed and how they taken Melanie. She was trying her and I appreciate what you did.
We love her.
The one that, of course, I'm closest to is her. I could spend the rest of the time, but I don't talk about my relationship. I appreciate what you did.
Okay, Marcy. Marcy's turn.
Then we get one illustration how Bonnie kept a piece around our house. Ted was walking home one time and he said he found a bottle of beer. I mean, a can of beer. And he brought it home. And I know about it. Then Ted did something to me, he made me mad. I'm going to tell Dad.
You didn't steal that big.
and I can't remember what the deal is, but Bonnie found out about this, and I can't remember what she said. If you tell Dad, maybe she used to think, Mama, your name is Bud. So I remember that that never reached Dad's, and of course he threw the big can of beer, and he just found it along the road. But anyway, she did not let that get into Mom and Dad's realm of knowledge. Think about it.
I think quiet and calm. Although I don't remember.
Marcy's turn.
Well, I guess, just thinking, of course, you mentioned a lot of people, but I guess when I was a child, Nancy and Bonnie had each other, and then the younger ones did, and I guess I buddied around with Steve a lot. And I guess he would have been my really special pal when we were kids. We played football with Phyllis, and dammed up every creek, killed every snake we could find, swam in every creek we could dam up, and climbed all the trees. I can remember being really, I guess one time I can remember being so mad at Mom and really going to be problems because Steve and the neighbor boys that I ran around with all day were trying to camp out, and I wasn't going to be able to camp out because I was a girl, and it made no sense to me that I couldn't camp out with you. We spent all day, all the time together anyway. But I think because of that relationship, I had a better childhood than I would have without it. And then when I was babysitting, I remember one summer he would take me, he'd get up every morning and take me to babysit, and then he would come get me every evening. And I paid him something, but I'm sure it wasn't. Surely charge you for that, because
We should have dropped that.
I'm sure it wasn't much, because even though gas was cheap, it probably didn't really make anything. But he did that for me.
What is
And
that?
every once in a while, I think of that. And
That's after she thought she
of the good times we had when we were children, because I guess without that relationship with him, I wasn't ever very, very well myself.
I do remember.
Look at Steve Day.
And since you
What was the deal about the beer?
Dave was happy to me.
Is that
I say happy life.
Doing what?
Live your life on the fence, on top of the tin roof.
And you got a whole bunch of
Well, he
people.
probably told me to go up there and get
I
him.
still like the story when y'all killed Dave.
He was the one that was on the end of the roof where he
You
was.
know what I always remember is
Did you do
I
that?
got to play baseball and football whenever they had an opening,
Go for me.
and they
I'll go
short
before
ones,
you.
I'll go get Happy, she'll play.
People.
Oh, yeah, they said,
People.
no, get out of here, we don't want any girls players out there.
You're only giving up when
Your
you're.
I
husband.
was only, pardon me?
Your husband's turn.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Leave her.
You can't leave him.
Can I get water?
I remember that time I almost fell.
Yeah, like,
I think I get bored. He got me taking me by the church in the night storm, and we around the corner, door full open, I almost.
Hanging on the door while it was open, that was that blackboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, like all the other in-laws, you tell stories about your mate, but I won't do that. Other than happy, two things. First of all, when we went and moved to Denver, we didn't know anybody, I was sold. two exceptions, and they really welcomed us in to their family. And we had a great 7 years out there with Bob and John. And it was nice, and I appreciate all that.
Why'd you move on?
It wasn't that great, John.
You didn't have an ocean.
Now I want to talk about somebody. This is either the best or the worst thing that anybody in this family has ever done to me or for me, with the exception of Happy. And that's this unnamed person, this busybody that likes to have their finger on the pulse of this family at all times and likes to know what everybody's thinking and what they're doing and everything. Well, Happy and I had just gotten away from 2 very bad marriages, and we had met and fallen in love and decided to, you know, we were just trying our wings again, so we moved in together. And we were living together, and everyone in the family knew about it, but no one was going to come check us out, with one exception. And this unnamed person that came down to check me out and find out whether I was worthy of this family or not did. And this unnamed person finally said, "You'll do." So that's either the best or the worst thing. Anybody. Now, who do you think this unnamed person is? She's sitting behind me a little bit.
Thanks, Dad, but I didn't think you were going to be in the family where I mean,
That's either the best or worst thing anybody ever did.
y'all need to do that.
Y'all give Nancy a big hand for helping it.
One thing about these family reunions is that the emotional level is like a roller coaster. One time you're booing, next time you're laughing, next time you're fussing, the next time
But you know what? What's so funny is if you think about it, when you think you get your 3 children together, aren't they the same
and
way?
when you go home at night, you're drained, you can't sleep.
Well, I think, you know what? 2 days. I just wanted to say, I think all of our in-laws work very well with us. They let us get into all these, you know, I mean, I didn't realize it was affecting them. But
Look at John over there.
they have basically been our, they're kind of our peacemakers. Yeah. Because they can kind of stand back a little bit emotionally detached, and yet they're there for us to make sure we don't really go into.
Well, the last 2 or 3,
hasn't had his turn. Yeah, I knew that. I didn't mean to butt in, but we were talking about in-laws, so I
What did you
just.
say, John?
I said, last 2 or 3 been pretty good. Well, we had some real bad ones though.
Yeah, I'm glad you grew up. However, first of the evening, I was up there.
I took mine, I said, why we want to go to these
We
things?
just didn't get very, we just don't grow up permanently.
Like I said, it's a
Roller coaster.
You
That's a good description of it.
never know what's going to happen next.
Well, just
Go
when
ahead.
you can predict, you get surprised.
That's almost like a Baptist church.
I want to say something when you get through, so hurry up.
Take your time, take your time.
You weren't supposed to say something nice about you.
You don't have to hurry, you stay
Filibuster, keep it going.
Your idea.
Let's go talk about me and then take off.
Okay.
Well, one reason why I wanted to bring up this question was because that you don't realize the little thing that you do, how it changes and touches somebody's life. I watch Steve over there. It's not the money. It's not $25, $30,
Or $2.99.
or a card. Remember that. But anyway, I had to take a few minutes to talk about a few people, and this won't take very long. Nancy took me in when I was in high school, I went to Carolina High School, and if she wouldn't have done what she did for me, I think it's probably kind of a joint relationship, because I tried to help her kids. And I remember, I thought I was special when she'd bring me home a, whatever it was, some dollar store, a pair of pants, and I wasn't very proud of school. But I appreciate very much what she had done for me in my life. She is, when I've been around the last few days, I realized all the things that she's been doing. She's a very sweet
I'm gonna cry.
Happy was, when I was in high school, Happy was my kind of person that helped me get through that, because, you know, I liked being popular in high school, and I was concerned about being popular like anybody else, I think, was in high school. And Happy told me not to worry about being popular, that if you could I did things like running for president, junior class, homeroom president almost every year I was there. Played football, had a great time there. And I contributed most of that happy. We went ahead before me, and she always put her arm around me like I was her little boy, little brother.
They always smell like JD's.
They made me feel like that, because that's all I wore was jacket.
You're so cute.
You know, and Bonnie did a lot of special things for me, and it's kind of funny how it almost comes out tonight, but the things that Bonnie did was really so small, insignificant, but they stood out so big, like one year I had a birthday, and, you know, I was worried about not doing anything for my birthday, and she took me to Kmart over there on Church Street, bought me some stuff, I don't know how big a sacrifice or what it was that she meant, but I didn't think about that.
She just put on credit card.
Let John pay it off.
Yeah.
I didn't know him.
John's still paying the interest.
That was a nice shirt I had here.
When I was going to Bob Jones University, she sent me a check one time for like $10. It wasn't $75, it was the fact that a sister cared. And obviously Bonnie's a very caring person, you can tell that in the Hall family. Probably, I mean, unbelievable person. Daddy, one time I had ran out of gas, didn't have money to get back to North Carolina, I was living on East North Street, and he gave me his credit card, and I started using his credit card at an Exxon station over there near the hospital, kept using the Exxon card, and finally one day I looked up and it was like $100, and I said, oh, what am I going to do? I mean, I just like giving him my card, saying, there it is. Well, he gave me a chance to pay it off. You know, Daddy was, sometimes I feel for Daddy and the family he grew up in. Maybe you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, but I think that you didn't receive the same kind of love, that some of us received in our family. And consequently, we didn't always get the same kind of love from you. But I look at you, I admire you so much in the way that you took care of Mom. Steve? You know, I must have been this pet in his family because that was less fair. But Steve, and I never had an ego problem like Marcy. I heard Marcy said, I always thought I was the greatest. I can tell you that. I've always thought that something great was going to happen to me. And this is that. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm sure it's going to happen.
If you would start listening to me.
It still may happen in a few years. But Steve took me when I was a kid, took me to Carolina. I remember when Steve pulled out with a camper trailer, pulling behind a little Mustang. And I thought he was nuts and everybody, he was active, very strongly driven and had a vision. And later he took me down there and got me started in school. He loaned me a car when I was stupid, like 15 years old, and I went out and wrecked it. I was riding down the road beside the jail from the near post office. And for some reason I looked over, and when I looked over, I went in the back of the car. And he was great to me. Justin was, like when I went to high school, he was like somebody that, it's always neat to feel like you're looked up by somebody. Like I was, I guess they had to. But I thought that was pretty cool. But Justin was a very special guy. We went into a whole bunch of lot of problems. You know, really did. And one of the things that happened later on in our family is our family was such a big family, spread out in age group. And the only thing I hate now when I hear this group, I wish I'd been a little bit older so I could give some of you guys some money so y'all could think how great we had me.
It ain't too late.
Yeah, it's too late. Y'all all got plenty of money. But Justin, you know, I remember seeing him do a lot of different things. You know, I went rock sliding with him and riding motorcycles with him.
Don't forget about rubbing each other's belly.
I rubbed his belly on the street at night.
If you don't give me a nickel, you can't rub my belly with
And I do love him very, very much. You know. One time Johnny told me when I was a kid in high school when I was upset about a girl, he said, you know, what y'all do is not worry about girls and get involved in sports, because sports and balls can't hurt you back or something. I'll never forget that. And so when he told me that, I said, okay, that's fine, I'm not begging you.
Now you know I
I'm just gonna throw myself into sports, and it really was great for me. Not too long ago, one time I was up here.
Who told you that?
John.
John who?
West. One time when I was up here not too long ago, I had a chance to, I was hurting through the Sirloin thing, and I was in a car somehow with Marcy, and I was riding back, and she was just talking to me. That's all it took, you know. We were riding like a cabin or somewhere back to our house or somewhere. She just talked to me and said, you know, there's a plan, everything will work out. Just a little small thing. If there's anybody in here I ever thought was really a humble person, that's Martha. I will say that. You know, I don't know what was going on in her life, because all the times I was there, she'd always babysit me. To be honest with you, I can remember her always not being there and babysitting. And when she wasn't there, and I was very little, so I'm not sure I can remember all of them, but it seems like me, she's always down that hall in that room when she wasn't babysitting.
She had to go in there and guard her
I don't
stuff.
know, but she always,
She was down there counting her money.
Where were you still? Were you the
I sold her panties when I went to camp, because I didn't have any, and I knew I was gonna have to pay when I got home, and I didn't care.
anyway, one of the thing that I want to bring up here tonight was my question. It was some ulterior motive, is that you realize that when you're with your kids now, and also our 7 kids, dad's relationship, how what you do for each other, it's going to have a tremendous effect. It doesn't matter whether you give them money or just call them up and say, not think about you, and care about you, and the things that you do for your kids. Now, it scared me to death, to be honest with you, because I read a lot about the psychological impacts of adoption. And there is a difference by gaining extreme confidence in yourself or not having confidence in yourself and what you raise your kids. And I feel that very strongly about the kids that I have, somehow having unconditional love for people, my family, my kids, and hope that I can have it. That's all I have.
That was a fantastic idea.
Good idea.
The thing that came to my mind, in many ways, we're close to each other, and, you know, I think we ought to be, you know, make a real effort to follow up on Ted's suggestion that we stay in contact by telephone on some kind of a routine basis. I think that's, take it very seriously. I think it's a good idea, and we ought to make an effort to do it. But something that kind of bothers me is that several times, and I won't go into specific direction what they asked me to do, but I've learned way, way after the fact of my brothers and sisters going through tough times, and I did not know about it. Or I knew about it, but I wasn't made a part of it. You know, I felt excluded. I felt pushed away in some cases. There's no reason to be considered. But all I'm saying from that is, let's don't be that way in the future.
And
if
too,
we-
your mother provided some glue there, kind of a information clearinghouse.
You're right. She'd hear things and tell me.
Right.
But sometimes I was glad to hear things that way, but other times I was hurt to hear them that way, you know, that I thought I was close. In different times we're, you know, closer with each other. I mean, there have been times when I've been very close with Nancy. We spend time exchanging visits a lot. And you know, you're close with each other different times, and then when you're still close to somebody, and then you later learn that they went through something and never mentioned it to you, you know, you sort of feel like, well, what kind of a friend is that? I mean, even outside the family, I'll just say this so you know what I'm talking about. Tom Bell is a good friend of the family and a good friend of mine. And we were exchanging visits on a monthly basis, and it was an effort for both of us because we're both busy people. But one day a month he would come up to see me, and one day the next month I'd spend down at his place in below Greenwood. And we did this for several years. But then he got sick and was in the hospital for 2 weeks. And I didn't know about it. He didn't call me and tell me until he was home and well. And I mean, that really annoyed me. And then, wasn't long after that he had to make a rather major financial decision, the kind of thing he and I always talked about. And he told me about it after he did it. And it was all like, well, you know, if we're good and close friends, well, look to each other when we're facing problems and when we have to make major decisions. And if we don't, then we're not that close of friends. And if we're not that close of friends, I got better things to do than drive all the way down there this often, you know. I just be honest, that's the way And I think it's so important to realize that if you keep your troubles to yourself from your friends, you're sending a message to that person that they're not as close a friend to you as they thought they were.
Oh, that's really heavy. I always thought you were kind of sparing them having to go through your burdens.
You're wrong.
Not if you've
You're not
been through,
sparing.
like what Ted mentioned, he had been through when, you know, when he and Arlene were separated, and he was feeling so bad. You know, wouldn't you feel awful to think that Ted was
I don't
depressed
like
in
to
a
talk
hospital
about
or
my
whatever,
faults.
and.
Well, I feel
he-
bad.
Depression
I
is a
felt
big deal
shocked
for-
tonight to hear what
You
Marcy
know,
was going
thinking we
through.
just
but
bailed all of ourselves, but
Well,
if
yeah,
I just don't like to
never,
First
first I start thinking about
so I'm going through
my
this,
own
so
life,
I
and
never
after
work
that,
out,
I
and
was
just
like,
the best thing to do is just keep my mind on something
Yeah.
else. Let's
Yeah,
get
but there,
if you never
Yeah.
give a
My
friend
marriage,
an
I'm
opportunity
sure.
to help you,
But I think it helps, I would
you're
think it would
deprived
help
him of something he deserves.
me. I mean, look, I'm like you too, you know, I don't want to bother
well,
with
we
it.
can
But
all,
then
I
again,
worked out our own
Absolutely,
problems
because you get
until,
such a gift from
yeah,
giving, you get such a gift from giving.
I was really
Well,
bad
yeah.
at things, but I remember one time,
Well, that's it.
and,
I have so many
well,
friends.
back up
I can't go tell all my friends
what's
on
going
my
on, you know,
You
you
may
know,
have some
you
of your
understand
friends.
till you tell me what's
Look how
going
many-
on.
As far as close
it
friends,
really does.
My friends that don't have very many friends and.
that's your,
You guys, I want to say something, but I want y'all to listen to
that's
this.
what friends in numbers is being single digit. And when one of those people in single digits is important in my life faces a life-threatening crisis and doesn't tell me about it.
I would like to say something, that to go with what, I want to say something, but I would like your undivided attention,
Give her the microphone.
is with what Steve has just said. I think from the 7 Eshelman kids, we were taught to be self-sufficient and not to need anybody else. And if we have a need and I show it to you, that means I might be hurt because you won't understand my need.
Or you're not a good
And let me
Christian.
finish, please. Anyway, I think that by being able to need other people, it opens us up to be better wives and better husbands. It's okay for me to need him. It is okay and it is healthy for me to need him. But I was married to him for a long time before I would allow myself to need him, because if I needed him, I might get hurt. And with our brothers and sisters, it's the same way. We have lots of acquaintances. I have lots of acquaintances. And I have lots of people that think they're my friends because they tell me all of their problems. But I don't have many friends that I go to them with my problems because I don't want to need them. And you know what? Relationships are based on need. We do need each other. And whether you want to be friends with your brothers and sisters, that is your choice. Whether you want to be friends with your spouse, that is also your choice. Our outside friends, but relationships were created by God, and we do need to need each other because we build off of each other, we need each other.
And one of our greatest needs is to be needed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we're focusing on here, is let members of your family and let your close friends help solve your problems, or at least share your problems.
At least
Because if they can't do anything but say, I'm so sorry,
to pray for them.
you can pray for you. If they can't do anything but just hear what you're saying and feel your burden, you've done them a favor.
And Papa, that includes you. You need to feel free to call any
Yeah, I
of
think that was the
us.
hardest part about Mom being sick. I knew she was dying, and I told him the Saturday night before, my mom will not be here next week. But I didn't feel free to go stay. So I just had to go and stay a little bit and leave. And I knew that it was beyond what he could handle. But you still did not feel free to do anything but go in. And so you felt kind of pushed out when, and it really made me mad that day that I went, and none of us were there, and Mom almost died alone with a neighbor. And she didn't have to do that. So
So you need to feel free to call us.
Well, the thing right now is that the person that gotta be hurt the most in here is our dad. We hurt because we lost our mother. And I know that's one reason I had this, but if you've been married to a lady for 56 years, and you're alone, I went through that one time when I got divorced, and that is the most god-awful thing that can ever happen to somebody when you wake up. There's a series of steps that I was trying to tell you, Dave, that you're going to go through. It's kind of like you go through a whirlwind, and there's acceptance, and then there's denial, and there's final acceptance. And I know that you got to be going through those steps, because that's a natural psychological phenomenon. And your kids love you. You need to let us love you.
I appreciate that.
I mean, you don't know how much I hurt sometimes. I'm coming to work and I say, I know Daddy's home by himself. I just hope you get out of the house, hope you call. I want you to come stay with me, you know, I really do. I wish you let me reach out enough for you to come see your grandkids. If you felt comfortable doing that for them, do whatever. But my grandkids, they like another grandfather. You know, people are going to come take Daddy fishing. Or walk around the block if you got time. We'd love to have you.
I called Daddy one night. I came in from a European trip and I had been up for like 100 hours. And I called Daddy. Daddy, this is Happy. Are you hurting? And he says, well, I said, well, I'm hurting and I want you to hurt with me. And he said, well, I'm not saying I'm not hurting. I said, well, I just want somebody to hurt with me right now.
That's what makes some of our heritage was made us tough. We're not willing to call somebody. I mean, and another thing, I'm kind of, to be honest, I was feeling, if I called Steve and told him, look, I was hurting somehow, some ways I was scared that he'd say, you know, that you're weak. Why are you hurting right now? You shouldn't be feeling those feelings. Just like maybe you said to Steve, maybe you shouldn't have got that ticket or whatever. I think sometimes I'm afraid to call somebody and say, they might say, well, you should be going through that, you know, rather than just complete that and saying, that's okay, I love you.
We're taught not to show people our needs. In fact, we're supposed to have some kind of normalcy facade that we're supposed to make everyone else feel comfortable, even if we're not so comfortable. So, and of course, I think a little bit, Teddy's T-shirt has a little bit, why should I call somebody and tell them I have a problem? They weren't listening to the last time I was telling them. So, you know, I mean, that's a bit of the dilemma. We're so busy that I don't think we're slowed down enough that, for instance, Sue was telling me that they called somebody, I know who it is now, and they were telling them about a situation, and they talked so long that, hey, wait a minute, I didn't want this to go 45 minutes, I got other things to do.
Well, the truth is, I'm going to tell you this, guys, is you ain't got to get brothers and sisters. You can have all the friends you want in the world, or whatever, but they ain't going to make up for your 6 brothers and sisters. You can try to cover, not say, I've heard people say, I don't need my brother, I don't need my dad, but yeah, you do need your brother, and you need your dad.
But a proverb says a friend that is near is better than a brother far away.
But I love him dearly, Dad.
Well, I don't want to use this as an excuse or anything, but over the last